So my question then is, Tom obviously uber talented in every respect, musician wise, songwriter wise, vocal wise. When you're in a band with him and he's cutting a solo record and you're part of the band, how diplomatic is the songwriting process, or is it basically the Tom Keifer show and you guys play along, or is he open to input? If so, how much? Tell us a little bit about that chemistry.
Well, okay. So, with Tom, he wrote the bulk. I think I'm correct in saying that he wrote the bulk of the Cinderella stuff. But, in him and Savannah, the thing I figured out about them is they kind of, especially with him, he doesn't ever like say, okay, it's time to write a record. He just doesn't force the issue. And then when the inspiration comes, he writes a lot in a real short amount of time. You know what I mean? That's kind of how that last record came about. It came together like they wrote that record in weeks. To the point where I got to be honest, I kind of missed a window to contribute to the writing. But at the same time, I was in such a dark place from my divorce that it was dark beyond the point of being, oh, this could make for some really good material. It was dark in a, just I fucking hate everything and I want to kill people. Like, it was awful. It was really bad. And it was just like all this really negative raw emotion that was bottled up, and it wasn't going to come out into anything positive or remotely uplifting, and there was no way to put a positive spin on the emotions that were going to come out of me if I tried to write a song. And every time I tried to, it just sucked because it was just too much. Bleh. So, but to that end, him and I have had discussions, and he's always open to the idea of getting in a room and, hashing out ideas and stuff like that. He's always got an open ear. Now, as far as the playing and the getting together, outside of the nucleus of the actual song, like, and working parts out and all that stuff, we worked that whole record out in a rehearsal room. He would come in with the song idea. We were all there set up, and originally started tracking. It's just supposed to be pre-pro demos. And then after a couple of days, realized that our drums and even our bass were sounding so good that we could actually get the takes for the album where we were doing it once we got the feel and the vibe that we wanted. And then Tom and I were plugged into some direct things just to be able to keep the noise out of the room. And we were just going to recut the amps later. Same with keys and stuff like that. So everything was in headphones, but, we were all coming up with our own parts on the fly. He might have a little input here and there, but for the most part, he was letting us all just kind of create and play what we were hearing. And he trusted everybody in the band as musicians to play what was right for the song. And, he was very diplomatic about, it's something as menial, I guess you could say, as guitar solos. Like, I wasn't thinking about it. He sat down with me one day and goes, okay, so I'm looking at the record and there's 10 songs. This song doesn't have a solo and this song doesn't have a solo, but you've got these 4 solos and I've got these 4 solos. Is that cool? I'm like, yeah, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't, I wasn't really thinking about it. I wasn't keeping score, but I think it speaks volumes that he actually considers that, know, and isn't just like, it's my band, I'm going to play all the solos, but you can have this one on this, on the 4th song on the second side, It's just, it was super cool. It was it's bad of a time as I was going through. We were making that record. It was a joy to make that record. That was the most positive thing that was happening in my life at that moment.
You obviously you're very grateful for the opportunity to be in Tom's band and go out and play these gigs, and obviously a lot of it is tilted towards Cinderella as you would expect.
Yeah.
How difficult for you as a great musician in your own right and a creative person, is there a point where you're wishing that we would hurry up and get more solos material out so that you're playing stuff that you actually were recorded and maybe had it 50-50 mix, or is that never going to happen because the fans always want Cinderella? Or where are you in that mix?
Well, what I don't want to do, I guess, is, I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like I'm a fan of the bands that I love every bit as much as I am a musician. And I'm the guy that if I'm going to go see a rock show and I can't wait to see a band, I'm not going to be the jaded asshole standing in the back of the room with my arms crossed. Like, I'm going to go get up close to the stage and try to get my face knocked off by 412 cabinets and, a singer screaming in my face. So to that end, I see that in the audience when I'm playing, and I want them to be happy. I don't want them to be bored. I don't want to be checking out. And I recognize that, I mean, let's be honest, man. Cinderella's heyday were those first three records. And Tom had a lot of hits in that band. We've actually been pretty fortunate. We've had, a song or two from each of these solo records get some traction, on rock radio enough that it justifies us having them in the set. And people generally know, and the audience generally know those songs. But the last thing I want to do is hammer people over the head with deep solo cuts that they're not going to respond to and subsequently get bored, and then there's no energy to feed off of. And that just makes it harder to play a good show, I mean, listen, if I'm a Tom Keifer fan and I go see a show and he doesn't do Somebody Save Me, I'm probably going to be pissed. So,
yeah.
Well,
I got to say, I saw you on the last two tours when you came through Texas. I saw you in Cedar Park. So I saw you just about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, whenever that was.
At the very hot spot.
At the very hot spot. Actually, you guys got a break. I think Faster Pussycat was in town 4 weeks before you, and it was 107 degrees that day. But yes, it is the very hot spot. And then I saw you the year before at the very same venue with LA Guns and Faster Pussycat, and the set list was phenomenal, and the people responded, and it was fantastic. And I loved that you guys put together great packages. Like, I'm a huge LA Guns Faster Pussycat fan, so when you were on tour with those guys, that was it for me. And then this recent go around, Winger wasn't in at the gig that I saw. You had John Corabi. But Corabi came out with just an acoustic guitar and a bar stool, and I'm thinking, what? Where's his backing band? How's he going to open for Keifer with just an acoustic guitar and a bar stool? And he was awesome, man.
He was so good.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are giving the people what they want is kind of what I'm getting at here, and it was awesome. It was great performances, and a lot of memories come rushing back with all those songs, as you said. Tom and Cinderella had a lot of hits. I'm not sure people think of them in the same breath as they think of like a Motley Crue or a Rat or a Bon Jovi. But if you go to a concert, you're like, oh yeah, that one too. Oh, there's another one, And
yeah. I mean, they legit had hits that we can't fit in the set,
Yeah.
Like to rotate a thing in and out here and there. Like, There's a year that we opened with The More Things Change, which we had never played, and that was a bona fide hit. This year we're playing Hot and Bothered.
Yeah.
And it's the first time we played that song the entire time I've been in the band with them,
Wow.
So there's always stuff like that. I mean, if you go back and look at the first year, the label was encouraging us at the time to do make it an intimate night, do deep cuts, sprinkle some stuff in there. And we were doing like some deep Cinderella cuts, and we were doing a lot off that first solo record, but we were playing to, 300 cap bars, in a lot of places. Mm-hmm. So we would go there and you go there and you hear us play like One for Rock and Roll off of Heartbreak Station, which, super deep cut, but a great song. We were doing like a slide blues version of Shake Me that I was playing dobro on. We were, we had like this whole like 5-song acoustic set in the middle. We were, doing probably 5 tunes off that solo record, 4 or 5 of them. And, and that was cool in that intimate setting. But man, when you start to get into the bigger venues and start playing theaters, you got to keep that energy up. And, I think people want to pump their fist to Shake Me. They don't need the bluesy bar version of it,
Yeah.
So it's fun as it is to play sometimes, but
sure.
But yeah,
Yeah, it was great. And Tom, again, I was reminded of what an extraordinary talent. I mean, he would start a song on piano and then push it aside and finish, then he would take a guitar solo and then he'd take the guitar off and hand it up to, and then he would finish out the vocals. And I mean, he was going through three instruments a song.
Dude,
it was
absolutely.
great.
Sometimes, man, sometimes, especially when we're doing like don't know what you got till it's gone, or when we're doing a Heartbreak Station and he's playing lap steel,
Yeah.
and an acoustic, and yeah, it's a lot. Trust me, I've got 9 guitars on the road with him, and it's not a vanity thing. It's different tunings and different sounds, and there's an acoustic, there's a baritone I play for the end of one song. There's a double neck that I play for 2 or 3 songs every night. There's 3 times a night where I've got an acoustic on a Gracie stand in front of me and I'm going back and forth between that and electric. There's a lot of moving parts on that stage. It's and he's doing all the same things,
Yeah.
but just trying to get it to sound as good as we can. Plus, with all those vocals.